Good morning, church. So, it is good to be here. Oh my goodness. Am I echoing? Do you know how hard it is to look at a computer screen and get energy going? I've been doing that for 2 years, looking at myself, okay? So the band is back together again. Yay! We got new band members. Welcome, Reverend Maureen. All right. So, before I start, you have those little clappers. And the reason you have those little clappers is because many of you are shy. And when I say something that you really like, you just sit there and it's inside you think, yeah. Well, now you can say it on the outside. So, like, I got a vision. Okay? That's what these clappers are for. Right now, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to just close your eyes. And as your eyes are closed, I want you to pay attention to what you're thinking. Like, what are the thoughts in your head? You're thinking, why is she having me close my eyes? What is she going to do? I don't like this seat. I need to move my seat. Whatever you're thinking, just be conscious to your thoughts. Now open your eyes. My title today is As a Person Thinketh. As a Person Thinketh. I had an amazing childhood, very unusual childhood. Many of you know my mom's Bermudian, my dad's American. So all my life I went between this country and Bermuda. That's how I grew up. And I was influenced by both of those cultures. One summer, I was sitting on the beach with my family. In Bermuda, during the summer, it turns into a whole different world because just thousands of people come there for the beaches. So we were sitting on the beach, looking out over the ocean, just enjoying the sun, the water. Hundreds of people on the beach, hundreds of people in the water, flapping around. My great niece stood up and she looked out and she said, oh, she's in trouble. And I'm looking, I can barely make out the people in the ocean. And she's like, oh, it's okay. She's okay. And then I saw a woman being escorted out of the ocean by the lifeguards. And I had no idea what had happened. And I asked my niece, what were you looking at? And she said to me, oh, I saw that she was in trouble. And I'm like, how could you see all these hundreds of people in the water? And she said to me, there's an undertow right out there. And she got caught in that undertow. And I said, what undertow? What are you talking about? And it took her a few minutes for me to be able to focus. There was this subtle swirling happening in the ocean that she was conscious to. And in that moment, I got this realization like, oh my goodness, she has a consciousness of the ocean that I did not have. And that I was amazed at what she could see and I could not see. There is something that our founder, Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, calls race consciousness. Or in today's term, it would be mindset. But it's a consciousness that individuals have who collectively live in a particular society, particular area. They hold this consciousness. Now, why is it important for us to know that? It's important because it helps us to understand what is impacting us, what's impacting on our thoughts and how we're being. When we understand that there's such a thing as race consciousness and we identify the impact it's having on us, we can do something I call conscious choice. So I want you to understand that we are spiritual broadcasting systems, that every single moment we are sending out thoughts into the universe. We're just sending them out. Whether you're paying attention to it or not, they're going out. And they're impacting those around you, and they're impacting you as an individual also. Our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts are flying out and they're swirling around. We are also receiving sex. So just as we're broadcasting out, guess what? We're receiving. And because everything in the universe moves in a circular motion, what you send out comes back. You know that saying, what goes around comes around? That is true. One of the things that I learned when I lived in Africa was that the best time to do spiritual work is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. because it's the quietest. Because people are asleep. So you don't have all this broadcasting going out. That's amazing. Now, Ernest Holmes told us this story about how an individual can be influenced by someone's consciousness, and that person doesn't have to say a word. He told a story about a gentleman who woke up, he was feeling good, he was whistling and singing, he had confidence in himself, confidence in his world, and he got on the bus, and he sat down next to somebody who was having a bad day. They didn't say anything, but they were in this state of depression, in this state of lowness. Maybe they were feeling fearful. But when that man got off the bus, he was feeling anxiety and he didn't even know why. How many of you have ever experienced that? Come on now. Yeah. We're feeling good and somebody walks into our environment and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, what happened? And all the time we aren't conscious that it's not us, that it's someone else. But we're picking up what they're thinking, how they're feeling. Just as an individual can broadcast messages and influence themselves in their small environment, guess what? Nations and cities also have a consciousness that they impact the citizens of the world. The result of that is we take on the consciousness of where we are living. Just like in Bermuda, if I moved to Bermuda and I stayed there long enough, I would get an ocean consciousness. I would just get it because I would begin being influenced by those thoughts that are going out. I wouldn't have to go to school to learn ocean consciousness. I would just start picking it up. I've had a couple of experiences about that, around that whole area. I grew up in the Bay Area, and for many years I lived in Oakland. I moved down here to Cardiff, and I studied for a couple of years for a youth program. Then I moved back to Oakland. When I moved back to Oakland, for 2 years, I was waking up depressed, just not feeling myself, feeling good. And I couldn't figure out, then it dawned on me, this has nothing to do with me. It has to do with what's going on in this area that I'm living in. Because I understood race consciousness, I made a conscious choice to move out of Oakland and move back down to Cardiff. Now I'm in Carlsbad. People ask me, well, why did you move down here? I said I wanted an easier, gentler way of living. See, down in where I live in Carlsbad, it's light. It's airy. There isn't this heaviness laying over the community, and therefore it's not impacting me. I made a conscious choice because I understood race consciousness. I had another experience also. I lived in Ghana for a year. Ghanaians are some of the happiest people on the planet. And probably has a lot to do with they live on the equator also. So they're getting sunlight 24/7. Well, they'll get night, but you know what I mean, each day. And so they're full of vitamin D, but they have this energy, this happiness about it. Doesn't matter what's going on. They don't even have a third of our wealth, but they're happy. They have this spirit like, it's okay, don't worry about it. You know me, American, I'm like stressed about everything. Just chill, it's okay. They'll come, they open at 10, don't worry, they'll get here by 12. It's all right, just chill out, right? Finally, I got that race consciousness. I was like, okay, it's fine. They'll be here, don't worry. I lived like that for a year. And guess what? I came back home. When I landed in Oakland, California, I went into a shock, a spiritual shock. I was afraid to come out of my house. Seriously. It was so bad, I called my teacher that I had studied under for a year, a mystic, African mystic, and I told him, well, what is going on with me? He said, you have just flown into the biggest anger energy field on the planet. I was like, whoa. Do you know I had to go back to Ghana and stay with him like 2 months for him to do some spiritual work with me? He said, you need to come back so I can close you up. He said, you were completely open when you flew into that. And sure enough, I did the work with him. I came back to Oakland, and in less than 2 years, I was back into that energy. And I didn't want to be in that energy. And so I made a conscious choice to take an early retirement from the job I had. I was a social worker. And I pulled myself out of that. I was caught in what I call the swirl of the world. It was like this swirl happening, and I just got pulled right back into it. And I did not want to be into it. So there's something that happened to our country. But before I say that, Ernest Holmes says that any thought held in consciousness
Are you going to lose him?
produces a condition exactly corresponding to that thought.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what we're talking about today.
I'm recording something.
Whatever consciousness you're holding or whatever you're picking up, it's going to give you your way of being. He's saying that our thoughts create our conditions. So let's look at that. In 2019, the pandemic emerged on the scene. When it emerged, our world, America, was in this state of go, 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 do, get. We were in this swirl. That's how we lived. We'd leave home and we'd be like going. We'd come home, we'd be going. We never stopped. Come on, you guys. You know that's the truth. Right? We was like, going somewhere. Where were we going? We don't know. We were just trying to get there. We didn't even realize we were in that swirl. We did not realize it until something happened. We had to come to a halt, a screeching halt. It's not even like putting the brakes on your car. It's like pulling up the emergency brake and you're going 30 miles an hour. That's the way it felt. And all of a sudden, everything stopped. And what happened to us? It started ushering in a new way of thinking. Because our thoughts started to shift. It ushered in a new way of us looking at our world, our environment. Now, first of all, some of us went into shock. Like, oh my God, I got to get out. Because we were still wanting to go, do, get. Remember? But we couldn't. You had to stay in your house. And so what happened, we started to look at our environment around us. I was like, whoa, I don't like him. Why am I staying here with him? I really don't like my kids, you know. We need to go to school. But then we started to actually make time for other things. We started to make time for ourselves. We started to help another soul. We started to understand that we have a neighbor that lives next door we haven't even talked to. We don't even know who that person is. We started to check on them. We started to cherish life because we were seeing so many individuals that were abusing people, that were doing life. We started to show empathy because we saw so many people were stressed. We began to have compassion. We began to come together when we saw injustices because we were slowed down long enough to see things weren't like this. We started to give of our resources. I tried to make some masks, right? It didn't work out pretty good, but at least I had a good idea about making them because I wanted to contribute. We started to give it of our services, giving of our money, giving of our time. We started becoming more giving. We started embracing humanity. And as we started participating in those types of connections, guess what? It felt good. We liked it. It energized us. The whole nation would come out 7 p.m. at night and clap and acknowledge those individuals out there who were working hard to help others. We started to have a shift in our race consciousness. And that all that go, 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 get started to slow down. And we started to cultivate a new way of thinking and a new way of feeling. Our national attitude began to shift. And how do you know that? We know it because television always reflects what's going on in our world. We started seeing advertisements about meditation. Come on, yeah, meditation. Just like, no. Come on television. You started seeing advertisements about talk therapy. I mean, they have these amazing commercials about people who need help. And they're like, no, I can make it. I don't need your help. And they're like, everybody needs a little help. That's a shift in our consciousness. Before it was like, get out of the way. You're moving too slow. I got to get past you. Now it's, how can I help you? Let's talk about it. That's a shift in our national consciousness, you guys. Come on. We are thinking differently in our world. And we're exercising something that I like to call our divine gift. God gave us a divine gift called choice. We can choose how we live, how we exist, what thoughts we want to hold on to. We can choose to not get caught up in that go, 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 get, do. We have a choice. And right now is the time for us to really begin to focus on that. Because you know what's happening right now? The swirl is still there, you guys. That swirl is still there. But we have another swirl over here that was created. You have a choice. Do you want to get sucked up in the undertow of the go, go, go? It's there. Or do you want to make a choice? No, I'm staying over here. I'm going to choose what I think, how I live. This is what's going on in our country. People are choosing to do different types of work. They're like, I don't have to work over there for $3 an hour. I don't have to work there. I can do something differently. People are choosing to work differently. I don't have to work 60 hours a week in your office. How about I work 20 hours a week at home and 20 hours a week in the office? We're making choices. And the employers are like, okay, I'll pay you more money. Just please come back to work. Individuals are choosing to live differently, to move. People are moving from the East Coast all the way to the West, from the West Coast to the East Coast, to be closer to family, because that's what's important to them. They're like, I'm living out here all by myself. I want to be closer to my family. Let me see if I can move my job. Individuals are purging their environment. I love it. We're realizing we don't need all that stuff. Even I went and cleaned out my storage. That was like a hallelujah moment. I cleaned out my closet. Clothes for days. Why do you have all these clothes here with tags on them? Give them to other people. It's called minimalist living. That's taken on. People are moving out of these big, gigantic houses. They're downsizing because they realize, I don't need all this space. Why do I have all of this? I'd rather take the resources that I'm paying for this space and do something else with it. We're relating to our bodies differently. We're choosing a healthier lifestyle. Do you know that the commercials on TV are now reflecting healthy eating? There's all these companies that's like, we'll send fresh food to your house. All you have to do is open the box and put it in the pan and eat it. I'm loving it. I've been vegetarian for 30-something years. And it's like, thank goodness. They're advertising a healthier way for us to eat. And they're helping us inside of our lifestyles that don't allow all of us to cook. Because living that type of lifestyle takes a lot of time. They're making it easy. They're like, we'll send it to you. We have gardens that are popping up in different communities. Those communities where there are food deserts. There are a lot of communities that aren't blessed like we're blessed to have a Sprouts, a Trader Joe's, a Frazier's, community gardens. But what's going on is that certain communities are getting together and they're creating community gardens so that the residents can have fresh food. There's a shift going on in our country. Yes. So what part are you going to play in? Are you going to allow yourself to go back into that unconscious place and not make conscious choices and get caught up in the swirl? Or are you going to be like my niece? Oh, I see it's an undertow over there. I'm not going over there. I'm going to stay over here. That's up to us. As we think it, so we are. So what are you going to be thinking? It's not that difficult. We just have to make a conscious choice that we want to stay where we are. Many of us are feeling like we have new horizons. I was speaking to a member last week at the church, and he was saying, you know what? I feel good. There's something else I can do in the world. Guess what? There's something all of us can do in the world. We can make a choice on how we look at our world. I refuse to call myself a senior citizen. I'm calling myself, let's see what I'm saying. It's called an MA, a mature adult. And the reason being is because there's all these connotations around senior citizen. I don't want those. I'll make up my own connotations. We can do that. We can change whatever it is we want to change. Ernest Holmes says this: consciousness appears contagious until we make a definite stand in our own consciousness. Meaning that you can get sucked up into a consciousness because it's contagious. Or you can be aware that you're getting sucked up, but it's being sucked up where you want to be. Okay? It's all about conscious choice. Consciousness is contagious. But what do you want to be caught in? We have to remember to make those choices. Our responsibility is to put practices in place that keep us conscious to make choices, to send out messages into our world. You do not have to leave your house to participate in world peace. Sit and send out thoughts. Send out vibrations. Guess what? They're going to be picked up. Send out love. Whatever it is you want to see in the world, become that. Become love. Become peace. And then that's what you'll start broadcasting out. It's going to go all around and come right back to you. I want to say this and before I close. Last week, Reverend Maureen gave us this great story about sending out this prayer to the world, to God. God, I have everything I need. Send me a surprise. Look, I listen to what the ministers are preaching about. Okay, I don't know about you guys. I listened. I went home. I was like, God, I have everything I need. Send me a surprise. I got that surprise. I had an urge to call a friend. I called him, or I left a text, and I thought he would text me back. But the phone rang. And he was like, oh, I'm just calling you. Do you know that last night it popped on my mind to call you, and I wrote it down. And this morning I woke up and here's this text from you. And I'm calling. He said, I want to tell you about this program that I'm working on. And it's a program, it's a ministry out there in the world. And I was like, oh my God. Do you know, for 9 years, I have been looking for a vehicle like he is designing to take out into the world. And here it is, my surprise. I didn't have to leave the house. All I had to do was say, God, send it to me. God knows the desires of our heart. And if God's not the right word for you, Spirit knows the desires of your heart. You don't even have to know what it is you need, because you probably don't know what it is you need. Okay? Consciously. But Spirit understood and knew that this is what I wanted. This is why I was directed to go into the ministry. Not to have a brick and mortar church, but to take a message of consciousness into the world. I just didn't know how to do it. But my friend shows up and he's like, hey, I got the vehicle right here. Come join me. I want to leave you with this morning. The entire process begins by cultivating the right thoughts. Thoughts manifest words. Our words reflect and reveal what is in our thoughts. Words manifest action. Our actions result from the words that we think and the words that we speak. Now, if you're like me, you are not going to remember all of that. So I'll put it on a card for you. You can pick up one after service. I want to say thank you so much for being here this morning. Take this message out into the world simply by being conscious of your thoughts. Send those thoughts out so that they can go out and touch not only individuals but begin to shift our nation. Let's stay over here in this world and not return to that one. Don't even put any energy in that over there. You don't have to struggle against it. You don't have to talk about it. Just talk about this one over here. Because the more energy you put over here, guess what? It's growing and growing. Don't get caught in the undertow. Create your own consciousness, your own way of being. Thank you. May I add a blessing to the word and a blessing to the hearing. Thank you.